my friends, welcome back to the Pop Culture Cafe. I am Huck, and on this particular episode, we're going to do something a little different. It's a challenge for myself and actually a challenge for you guys. If you find this fun and cool and you want to do it yourself, I would love to see what you come up with. The challenge is, say you're going somewhere and tells you you can only bring one movie for every letter of the alphabet, and you can add numbers as well. So, you know, some movie titles start with numbers. You're allowed one of those as well. So you got to dig into your movies back here. It has to be something you own. So you have to go with that and then grab it. So, so I came up with a concept and a little bit of a twist. And I'll tell you right after this, so stick around. All right, guys. Now, look, I just want to start jumping on this for you guys right now. So I'll just make this a short. If you're new to my channel, please hit like, subscribe, and smack that notification bell. All right. So on this one, you're allowed 5 cheats. For example, some of my movies that I want, I don't have individuals of because they came in box sets. And, you know, I am not going to bring my Blu-ray all willy-nilly with no case getting all scratched up. So upon looking at my collection, you're allowed 5 cheats. So that you'll hit 5 letters at some point. You're going to need to do a cheat for 5 letters. Yes, I cannot do the cheat. I have those set aside so I can show you what I would have picked if I didn't cheat. But I also like to see what you guys would pick if you got to cheat on 5 of those letters. All right, so let the experiment begin. Here we go, starting off with my number choice. So it's numbers and then A, B, C, all the way through Z. So the number choice was 48 Hours. Nick Nolte, Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy came out swinging on this, instantly cemented him as a star. There's a lot of war movies, you know, you got 1917, 300, things like that. But you know what? I wanted to make sure I got Eddie in the collection. And it's hard because there were other letters I could have picked with him in it, but there were other movies I wanted on that letter. So thankfully, I have 48 Hours, and that is my pick for the numbers. Now, here we go. For A, yes, there's a whole bunch of choices, but for me, I absolutely love this film. I think it's a masterpiece. It's an Oscar winner, and I think it shows this this young man's talent, and that is Argo. This is an absolutely amazing film. I love it. I mean, look at this. The cast here. You got Ben Affleck, Bryan Cranston, Alan Arkin, John Goodman, directed by Ben Affleck. It's so good. Basically, he has to go undercover as a Hollywood producer, scouting locations for a science fiction film. Called Argo, and it's a dangerous operation launched by the CIA, and they have to go rescue 6 Americans that are stuck in Tehran during the U.S. hostage crisis in Iran in 1979. So it's a pretty hairy topic, but it's done with like really great drama. Really, it's very funny at times as well. I think it just covers all the bases that I'm looking for. And I just love this film. It's so good. I could have picked a whole bunch of things like, you know, Avengers or all kinds of other things with the A's, but I went ahead and stuck with Argo because this just means a lot to me, and I'm happy to use this. So Argo is my A. My B is my first cheat. That's right. I got to it early, y'all, and that is Back to the Future, man. Look, I don't have a standalone, so it's got to come in this case. So by default, I'm going to get Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3. And I find that highly pleasing because I love this trilogy. I think it's fantastic. Michael J. Fox and company. This is like a perfect film, the first Back to the Future. I absolutely love it. I can watch it anytime. So I am happy to make Back to the Future my first cheat. Again, tons of great B's I could have picked. Even for that A, you know, I passed on all the Avengers movies just so I could get Argo. And I passed on, you know, Batman movies just so I could get Back to the Future. So Back to the Future is my B choice. Now, for C, again, I wanted to mix it up a little bit. I almost picked Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger and a couple other cool films like Cliffhanger with Stallone. But I said I wanted to make this a varied selection, and I picked Alan Parker's The Commitments. This is an absolute terrific film. It's about this band. These Irish blokes are putting together a band. His name is Jimmy Roberts. He's putting himself a band. And, they're a bunch of misfits, you know. They're not spectacular people. They all have issues and problems. but the songs in this film are absolutely amazing. They released it as a 2 soundtracks. The first soundtrack sold so well they put out a second one. But I just love this film. And yeah, like I said, I want to make sure I get a little bit of everything in this selection. So C is Commitments. Now, D is kind of a no-brainer. I went Die Hard. Come on, guys. Look, there was a lot of things to pick, but it's like Die Hard. I could watch this anytime, all the time. So it's so much fun, so great. You know the story. John McClane, Nakatomi Plaza, Hans Gruber, done. Yeah, man, Die Hard. Gotta go for Die Hard. Now, E. Now, I almost had a cheat on this one, but because I'm only giving myself 5 cheats, I had to pull the cheat out and actually just put a single movie with the letter E, and I'm going with Everything Everywhere All at Once. I love this film. It has everything. First of all, it's got Michelle Yeoh, so it's an absolute win right there. And you got kung fu martial arts. You've got a drama that just tugs at the heart. You got special effects. You got multiverse, like googly eyes, so much. And it's super funny. It's super funny. When I saw this, I was literally crying tears from laughing so hard. And then tears from crying because it's so sad. I just adore this film. It's so dang good. So I'm very happy to put Everything Everywhere All at Once. All right, so for F, I had to get another comedy in here. And I battled between this one and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But this edged out Ferris just a bit. And I went Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Man, just this blockbuster of a comedy. Sean Penn, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Phoebe Cates, Judge Reinhold, just chock full of like up and coming stars. And I mean, hey bud, let's party. I mean, like Spicoli all day, man. This is a great coming of age film, and this absolutely has to be in the collection. Great music also. So like with the Commitments, they don't sing in here, but the soundtrack to this film is so good. So I'm going F, Fast Times Ridgemont High. Now, I'm going to keep the comedies going because this is one of my all-time favorite comedies and also spoofs one of my favorite sci-fi franchises, Star Trek. I picked Galaxy Quest. Oh my God, this is such a good film. You know, Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, it's a love letter to Star Trek while also being its own film. And, Tony Shalhoub is hilarious in this thing. This is a great film. If you haven't seen this, you don't even have to be a Star Trek fan to love this film. It is outright its own hilarious, well-made film. But if you know enough about Star Trek, you get just a few extra nuggets of gold because you know those references. Justin Long is fantastic in this film as well. Just everybody across the board is so good in this film. So my G is Galaxy Quest. Now, H, I got to throw in a little horror, a little classic here. Why not? A little John Carpenter, a little Halloween. Look at that. Still fresh, man. I'll crack it open. But yeah, come on, man. John Carpenter, one of his best. It's like an iconic horror movie. Jamie Lee Curtis. The score in this is great by John Carpenter. And, this established one of the greatest horror icons of all time, Michael Myers. So, yeah, you got to get that bloody knife and all those leaves in this collection. So, yeah, for H, I'm going to go Halloween, the original. All right, now, coming up to I is my second cheat of the game here because I was saving the letter R, and I'll explain why later for another title. I couldn't use up the R for the main movie in this thing that I want. So I grabbed the whole letter I, Indiana Jones 4-movie collection. So it's Indiana Jones, right? And they're all in here, so you can't take them out separate. I love Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's my initial pull, but also it's been renamed Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. So do you pick the I? Do you pick the R? So I'm keeping the I. I'm making my second cheat on this one. I'm getting the entire 4-movie selection here, so I get all this. There's other good I's I could have picked at Independence Day and a couple other fun films like that, but I went ahead and used my second cheat. I cashed in the card, and I'm going the Indiana Jones 4-pack. So there you go. I need to tell you about all of those. Those are just iconic. Now, when it came to J, there were a couple of choices I could have picked. But you know what? I just wanted to go for a real feel-good film. I even just rewatched this again recently, and it just hit on all the marks. There's a bunch of other J's I could have picked. But for my J, no surprise, I did pick Jurassic Park. While I do love like Jumanji Next Level and a couple other J movies out there, I went ahead and leaned into Jurassic Park because it's like Back to the Future to me and Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's like a perfectly made film. Ironically, Spielberg's attached in some way or another to all those films. But it's a fantastic film that I just love from top to bottom. It just does it all for me. So got to go with the J, Jurassic Park. All right, now going to get a little classic and nostalgic on you. So for the K, I did pick a classic monster, but the original. I went with King Kong, the 1933 King Kong, Fay Ray, the big old monkey, you know, greatest love story ever told. Not really. But, you know, this is a fantastic film. This is what started like the big giant monster genre. The stop motion stuff in here is phenomenal. So you got your Willis O'Brien stuff, and then that, of course, inspired Ray Harryhausen, and then he started kicking out all of his classics. But it all gets back to this film right here. And yes, it's black and white, but you know, I got a couple of black and whites in this collection because they have to represent. And this is one right here. King Kong, baby. All right. Now, not shockingly, only about two titles later, I'm cashing in my third cheat. So again, I had a couple other L's I almost pulled, but look, I just watched this with my whole family, and we still love them. These are 20 years old. These are still 20-year-old movies, and that stuns me to say it, but I'm going Lord of the Rings. I freaking love Lord of the Rings, and these films really hold up. It's a fantastic trilogy, and I'm happy to sort of use this as my third sheet. I only have 2 left, so I got to use them wisely. And yeah, you know, from the get-go, Peter Jackson, the amazing cast, incredible crew, the effects still hold up today. They are just perfection. They service the story really well, and like I said, I saw this with the family, and we just loved it, top to bottom, man. My daughter read all the books. We always have a promise to her. She read all the Harry Potters, read all the Lord of the Rings, and we say, well, when you're done reading it, then we'll watch the movies. So there we go, Lord of the Rings, my third sheet, 2 left. All right, let's keep going here. Now for M, again, I had a lot to choose from, but I wanted to make sure I just got like an all-out popcorn fun movie with like lots of action and thrills and some comedy, and I went with one of the Mission Impossible films, and the one that I chose was Fallout. That's right, Tom Cruise, you know, just fist running, man. Simon Pegg in here, you know, Jeremy Renner. This is just a great film, and the entire franchise of Mission Impossible is so freaking good, and this one does not let down. Cruise, you know, freaking flies a helicopter, man. The guy will do anything to get your money, man. This guy is you know, fearless. So I am totally stoked to make sure I get at least one Mission Impossible in this collection. So here we go. We're getting down there. Now, N was a little tricky. I sort of picked this particular N because, you know, with J, I went with Jurassic Park. I did not pick, say, a John Wick. So in order to get a little John Wick feels in here, I went ahead and picked Nobody for N. Because yes, I wanted to make sure I got some of that really hardcore action in here. It was tough. There's still, to me, a lot of genres that I just couldn't squeeze in because there's only so many letters of the alphabet. But this is gonna have to represent, you know, some good kung fu and, you know, that type of Keanu Reeves action, even though Keanu's not in this. But yeah, so, you know, great story. Bob Odenkirk, you know, who thought that the guy from, you know, Better Call Saul could, you know, churn out this really great action flick. But yeah, check this thing out. This is so good. It's got tons of like fun bonus features. That's another fun thing too. If you get your cheats in, you get a lot of bonus features, so you get extra stuff you can watch. So there's my N, Nobody. All right. So for O, I had a couple of choices with O, and since I haven't been able to squeeze him in yet, this is my chance to work in Quentin Tarantino. And I'm going Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think this is a fantastic film. It's one of my favorite you know, Quentin Tarantino films, period. I just love this film. The acting in this by Leo and Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt won the Academy Award for it. Leo nominated. And he is just fantastic, man. That scene when the little girl, you know, the camera rocks around him and he's you know, doing his acting and the camera says cut and the girl walks up to him and she's like, that's the best acting I've ever seen. And it just tear goes down his face. I mean, God, that's such a good scene. So many other great scenes too. God, the ending of this, the ending of this with the dog and the can of dog food and the flamethrower, man, just Tarantino gold, man. So I'm stoked to be able to squeeze in this with the letter O. And letter O is not an easy letter to hit with. But we have an even harder letter coming up in just a second. Now, P was tough for me because I'm a huge Planet of the Apes fan. But I needed to make sure I got in some really good Arnold. So I went ahead and grabbed Predator instead. Predator is such a fun film, man. This thing never lets up from the get-go. Directed by John McTiernan, so I got two. I got Die Hard and got this. So I get this, 1-2 McTiernan punch going. And, you guys know this. This is one of Schwarzenegger's best pieces, especially from the 80s. Man, the 80s were just hitting for those action and sci-fi films. And this is one of them, Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura, Arnold himself, and this great Predator. Originally supposed to be played by Van Damme, but, luckily they went with Kevin Peter Hall instead because he's really tall. Van Damme's a little short. So, but yeah, this is just a stupendous film. Predator, y'all, that's my P. So Planet of the Apes missed out. And that was my opportunity for another cheat, was for the P. I was going to bring the whole ape set. And I have like an ape set that's got 9 movies in it. I could have just picked that as a cheat, but I went with Predator instead. Can you imagine that? I passed on 9 movies and picked Predator. Now, there are 2 really tricky letters, and this is one. But it's a pretty good go-to. For Q, I picked A Quiet Place. This is such a good film. I even missed this the first time around. I wish I had seen this in the theater. I heard that the surround sound and just the audio, the audio work on this film is phenomenal, especially if you got to see it in the theater. But unfortunately, I did get to see it here. But I got a nice OLED TV and sound bar, so sound bar's not like a theater room, but I do what I can, y'all. So yes, my Q is A Quiet Place. Freaking love this film. It's so good. Now, here is the reason why I couldn't put Raiders on my R, because I think this is my last cheat. Is that my last cheat? Yeah, I think this is my last cheat. So with the letter R, I am picking the Rocky, what do they call it? The Heavyweight Collection, the Rocky Heavyweight Collection. Man, I mean, look, I'm a huge Stallone fan, and Rocky is one of my favorite films of all time. So to be able to work in Rocky and all the other films as well, this is just a good time. It's a good time in this box, y'all. So, again, if I have to do away with the cheats, I can show you that at the end. But for now, I'm keeping the cheats. This is my last one. I think this is my last one. Yeah, so Rocky. All of the Rockies right there. All right. Oh, no, I was wrong. That was my 4th cheat. Here's my last cheat. I can tell by as soon as I picked it up, this is my last cheat. So S was a tricky letter because it's a very popular letter. I wanted to either work in either Star Wars or Star Trek because I'm a fan of both. And while I really hemmed and hawed on the Star Trek Blu-rays, the 6-movie set, that's such a good set, I went ahead and did a really interesting cheat. Not only did I pick this Star Wars set that I'm about to show you, but it's a bootleg that, check this out. It's the theatrical versions. So I got this off online, like from Macari, and it's the original Star Wars films, the 3 films, as they originally aired in the cinema. And that is something I would love to relive, right? Because there's no special CGI, no nothing. It's exactly as they were when they came out. Color timing and everything, these look really, really good. So whoever put these together, kudos to them. So my last cheat is the letter S for all 3 original Star Wars films as they were released in the cinema. So that is a good one. All right, so yeah, no more cheats left. So we're going to T. T was tricky because I didn't know if I wanted the original or the sequel. Went ahead and went with the sequel, and I'm picking Terminator 2. That's right, Arnold's back. So I got Predator and Terminator. I had to give up another cheat. I actually had a 2-pack with Arnold that had Terminator and Total Recall, but that exceeds my 5 cheat limit that I'm trying to adhere to. So that would have been a great way to sneak in 2 Arnolds on one set, but I didn't. So I still wanted to get Terminator in here in some fashion. So I'm going to go Terminator 2. It's like taking the first one and amping it up, just like how he did with Aliens, right? He took that and he amped the first Alien up to, to like 20. So going with Terminator 2 for my T. All right, let's keep going. So You is a new film that I just came across this year. I hadn't seen it until just now, and that is Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. It's one of his more dramatic turns, and yeah, man, the hype was good on this one. So went ahead and picked it up. The Blu-ray was on sale for super cheap, so it was an easy blind buy pull. I think it was like $6.99 or something like that. And yeah, and also not a ton of selections for you. There was another one I really wanted to pick, which was Untamed Heart with Christian Slater, but I'm gonna just edge that one out for Uncut Gems. All right. Now V. Okay, this one actually was the hardest because I actually had a few Qs. Actually, I had 3 Qs and I only had 1 V. Thank God, I almost didn't have a V. And it's the new version, but it is Vacation, right? Now, I know this isn't the original Vacation. I don't know why I don't have that on Blu-ray right now, but I have the Ed Helms, Christina Applegate one. And look, I don't care what anybody says. I laughed my ass off at this. This was hilarious. It was so funny. Like, I was busting out loud with some of the scenes with Ed Helms and Applegate when she's at the sorority and she's trying to show that she's still the best, like, party animal. That scene is so funny. If you've not seen that scene, it is great. So I'm happy. Yes, I didn't have V for Vendetta. Believe it or not, didn't have that. Didn't have the original Vacation, but I do have this. I do think it's funny, and I'm happy that I had something good to put in there for the V. Now, for W, I'm going to go back to some classics a little bit here. A good old family classic that I think would be nice to toss in here. And yes, we're going to go with The Wizard of Oz. I had many W's to choose from, stuff like War of the Worlds and things like that, even like the original War of the Worlds. I was really on the fence between the original vintage War of the Worlds or this. So I went ahead and picked this. I mean, this is such a feel-good film. Great performances all around by the cast, and it's just a classic. It's a family classic masterpiece. Follow the Yellow Brick Road. Let's go. So yes, we're gonna follow the Yellow Brick Road to W's. That is my W for this. All right, we only got 3 left, y'all. Now here we go. X. Not a lot to choose from. I guess you got your X-Files and your X-Men. So I did indeed pick an X-Men movie, and this is one of my favorites. That is X-Men 2 United. I think this is still probably the best one. I love this cast. I love these characters. Of all the X-Men, I think they just have the best characters. I don't care a lot about the ones from the new movies. I don't think they're as interesting. I think there's a little bit more fun to be had with these. I think Bryan Singer did a great job with this one. I mean, Halle Berry, Hugh Jackman. They even got Nightcrawler that appears in this one, and he's badass in this movie. So for X, I just have to go with X-Men United. 2 more, y'all. Here we go. Y, we're bringing it back to the comedies. This was absolutely the first and only one I would consider for Y, even though I had a few Ys in my collection, but I reached right for it, and that was Young Frankenstein. God, I love this movie, y'all. This is so dang good. Young Frankenstein. Gene Wilder, directed by Mel Brooks, Peter Boyle, Madeline Kahn, Terry Garr, just chock full of, Frau Blucher. Yeah, Cloris Leachman. She's hilarious, man. So this is great. It's in black and white so that it honors all those Universal horror movies. And it's a fantastic spoof. In my opinion, probably the best spoof. This and Airplane are right there as far as classic spoofs go. And yeah, so if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and check out this film. I love it. So my Y, without thought, is Young Frankenstein. And for Z, had a couple of choices on this one, but I figured let's just get a couple of more horrors tucked in there. So this fit the bill for the horror section. I'm going Zombieland. That's right. Come on, Woody Harrelson, Zombieland. It's also a little funny at the same time. This took care of a little omission that I had to take out because of my 5 cheat rule. So yeah, Zombieland, man. I picked this one over Double Tap just because I had a little bit more fun with this one. So yeah, that is it, guys. That is my A to Z with 1 numerical choice that I picked. If you got to go out the house, someone says you can only bring 1. That's it. 5 cheats. There it is. What did you think, guys? Was that an interesting choice, interesting selection for each letter? I had a lot of fun trying to pick those out and which ones to push away and which ones to keep. Now, let me tell you a couple of the omissions. So now, had I not been allowed, right, and I did other cheats, I would have taken the Rocky out and actually just brought Rocky, right? So I had the single Rocky ready to go. Now, this is also why I lean toward. I don't have a single Blu-ray Rocky, so this is a DVD. So, you know, a little bit harder to, you know, let that one win out. Now, Lord of the Rings, if I couldn't do the cheat on that one, my backup, my single backup was Legend. That was tough not putting that one in there. Love that film. Now, for S, if I couldn't do all the Star Wars, then I had a tie whether if I was going to go Star Wars or Star Trek. If I went Star Wars, because it is called Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, it would have been this one title. And if I leaned towards Star Trek, it would have been Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. So now you can see where I'm going if I didn't use my cheats. Now for Indiana Jones, because there is no single that I have of just Raiders of the Lost Ark or Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I have the Steelbook, and it's Raiders of the Lost Ark, so I can't use it for the R. So I would just use the Steelbook of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. So that would end up being my I, so I still get my Indiana Jones fix. And yes, this is the one I talked about earlier. If I could cheat one more time, this was that great, you know, Steelbook, lenticular there, so you get Total Recall and Terminator 2. So maybe one of you guys will put that in your collection. And had I sided with Star Trek, this was that collection right here. That's it right there. It's like all 6 movies with a nice bonus disc in there. So that would have been it. But those were all the backups. I thought I'd show those to you so you could find that interesting. But these are it right over here. These are my A through Z's and one numerical pick. Guys, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun putting it together. If you want to try this and put a video up too, tag me on it. You know, let me know that you've done it. I will totally come check it out because I think this is a lot of fun. And I think anybody that puts this task to themselves, you're going to have a lot of fun doing it. So remember, it's A through Z, one numerical title, and you get 5 cheats. So if it's attached to a box set in any way, and it could be a really massive box set, you know, this could be interesting. Or maybe it's just got 2, like the Terminator and Total Recall. You're allowed to do that because, you know, like I said, it's easy to have no rules, but it's also fun to throw in 5 cheats just to test yourself. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I really appreciate it. Again, if you're new to my channel, please hit like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell. Until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.